Carl Friedrich Konstadt, German physician, and the first one to use the term psychosis in medicine. He used it as an umbrella term for psychic neurosis, so that includes any disease of the nervous system. 1845. Baron Ernst von Fuchtersleben, a man born into nobility but instead pursued a life of medicine. He used the term as an umbrella term for insanity and mania. Fast forward to today, psychosis is still a term that is an umbrella term for many diseases. These range from genetic to trauma to illness and to drug-induced diseases of the brain. The most famous of which is schizophrenia. Psychosis, the heart of which is delusions and hallucinations and thought disorders, the so-called positive and negative symptoms of the disease. Hello and welcome to Medicinal. I'm your host Abdullah Dawood, and today we'll be delving into the deep and wonderful world of medicine, and specifically, what is psychosis? Psychosis is a syndrome. It's not just a symptom, but it's a combination of various symptoms put together. The symptoms of psychosis come in a timeline, those being the prodromal, active, and residual phases. Prodromal are the gradual signs that something bad is going to happen. Active is where the classical signs and symptoms of psychosis come into play, the positive, negative, and cognitive symptoms. If we dive into the heart of the active phase, we see that it is further divided into three parts. So what are the positive, negative, and cognitive symptoms of the active phase? Well, simply put, positive is when there is an added aspect to your life that wasn't there before. So these are the classical signs such as hallucinations and delusions. Negative is when there are aspects of your daily life that has been taken away from you by psychosis. So for example, you'll be more withdrawn from society, or you'll find it harder to work, and this will affect many people's lives in very terrible ways. The cognitive aspects is just as the name suggests. It will mean problems with your understanding, with your learning, and how you function on a day-to-day basis. For example, it will affect your work, it will affect your school, education. This all means that psychosis is nothing short of a roller coaster journey. However, it is a roller coaster journey that is controllable and goes from one that is scary to one that is manageable. This is because psychosis and hallucinations are just one aspect of what people experience in the disease. It's not just seeing stuff or believing stuff that other people will struggle to believe are real, which is what hallucinations and delusions are. People will tell you they see stuff or hear stuff, and you will be certain that it's all true. But if you tell it to a layperson, they will not believe in the slightest. They will not understand what is happening. What you perceive as real or what is not real is twisted as a moment. It's scary and confusing. And above that, psychosis stops you from living a normal, healthy life. It can even stop you from getting rest and sleep, keeping you up all night. And even on your day-to-day basis, you don't know when the hallucinations or when the delusions are going to come. This brings along the stigma of the disease to the people who don't know what it's like to have psychosis. There's a stigma caused by the lay people and for doctors and healthcare professionals as well. When they hear the word psychosis or a psychotic patient, they will have a certain idea of what to expect, someone who they may even think is crazy, and that causes the fear of the diagnosis. When a patient is first diagnosed with psychosis, they may not know what it means for them, but they may know that it will be a scary and traumatizing journey, possibly, but they will also know that there is stigma around it, and they may even be judged. But this is where, as I mentioned before, it is a roller coaster that can be controlled. Not only is there more awareness of psychosis now, and there is a lower stigma around it, especially in the healthcare society and the healthcare community, it means that there has now become a better way of treating people with psychosis. They are first of all looked at people who are still normal, except have a disease that can be very well controlled. The mainstay of the control is antipsychotics, and they generally work in the same way. See, in the brain there is a receptor called D2, and what is found is in the neurons, in your nerves. D2 receptors react to dopamine. When the dopamine hits them, they're activated, causing your brain to send off more signals. The problem with psychosis, especially in schizophrenia, is that this is overactive. So what most of these antipsychotics do, in fact all of them do, is reduce the activity of D2. Now there's two classes of antipsychotic. There are the typical or first generation, or the atypical or second generation. They both work in the same way, but the only difference here really is that the atypical just have a lower affinity or work less strongly on the D2 receptors, blocking them less as effectively, so possibly reducing any side effects that the first generation drugs have. However, there is a problem here. Any drug that's made will have side effects associated with it no matter what. It's really a balancing act of giving people medication, and in the case of the second generation, they can give you weight gain. But antipsychotics have been revolutionary in the way we treat psychosis, but they're not the only way that we can help these patients. Non-medical therapies include cognitive Therapies. And what it is training yourself to recognize an episode and act upon it. So you know when it happens and you know what to do and deal with it. So in the end, it will have less of an impact on your life. It will be less of a scary journey not knowing when it's going to happen. You'll have a better idea of what is happening to you, and then you can have an idea of how you can control your own life. There are other life training methods that also teach you how to live with psychosis. So whether it be in the social care society, where you have either someone who comes and trains you how to deal with it on a day-to-day basis, or even where you're in groups with people who also have psychosis. Maybe you can even discuss what works best for each person and see if you can implement these improvements to your daily life to help you cope with this condition and to reduce any negative feeling people might have around you because they may not understand what you're going through. But the idea of treatment is that the earlier it is treated, the better of a chance the person has of controlling the condition and the less of an impact it will have on their lives. So psychosis, like I said earlier, a roller coaster that is manageable in the end, and a wonderful story of how medicine has progressed so far and expanded in the way we treat and look into conditions to help people to the best we can, all the way from new medication to better understanding on how to treat people as people. So thank you so much for watching Medicinal. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I really hope it was informative to you. And please do leave a thumbs up and a subscribe and leave a comment telling me what I can cover in the next topic or how you felt about this video. It'll be really appreciated, and I'll see you on the next one.